Pretty Little Liars, The Perfectionists, tonight's deals with disturbing and problematic topics. We provided a list of content warnings in the episode description. Hello and welcome to Dead Ends. I'm Emily.
I'm Brenton.
And we have the final episodes of Pretty Little Liars, The Perfectionists for you.
Yep, we're all done.
Yeah, and that's kind of the vibe of the ending.
Yeah, we're just like left in the lurch. I mean,
I don't even feel like it's lurchy.
well, yeah, that's fair. Yeah, there's just not enough of the mystery to really feel like super cheated out of anything.
Yeah, you kept forgetting that like the premise was that
No one died.
yeah, I was like, what's his name?
You're like, what's his name again?
I almost called him Ethan for some reason.
I think that about sums it up there.
It was like Sean all over again.
What's his name again?
It's like Hannah still with Sean?
But at least Sean was around longer than Nolan was.
That's true.
Even in flashbacks.
And Sean didn't get to wear the sexy Santa outfit.
No.
So he wasn't a
unfortunately.
true love interest on Pretty Little Liars.
Yeah, poor guy.
You're only a true love interest if you get to wear the sexy Santa outfit.
Yeah, pretty much. The only non-endgame one was Paige.
Mm-hmm. And was it really non-endgame if now we have this? Though I saw
that's
online somewhere, and I don't know if this is true, and I saw it like when I was scrolling Pretty Little Liars things on Reddit. So once again, let's all
Didn't see the source.
exactly. Let's all contextualize that way. But that this is no longer considered canon, according to Marlene, that The Perfectionist is not canon.
Interesting.
If anyone knows about this or, like really wants to educate us on where this came from, please let me know.
Yeah, if you got a link,
I did like a
post in the
brief look,
comments.
but I didn't really find anything. But I also I didn't use my true sleuthing skills.
Yeah.
I was not in A mode. I wasn't in Mona mode. I was in like,
You weren't in the professor mode.
I was in like, I don't know, maybe like Emily season 1 mode. I'm just like, oh God, things keep happening and it's not good.
What's going on here? Yeah, it's interesting that this is the 10 episodes they wrote for a 10-episode season. And I was just looking at it.
They felt guaranteed to a second season. That's what this tells me.
It was canceled like 6 months later. So there's like a long time where you could ostensibly be like, well, we're getting that second season. It's a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, there's stuff at least to talk about. There's things that happen and truly, and some good ridiculous things from PLL. So we might. Should we just jump in? Should we just do it?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Especially at the end of this episode. Episode 9: Lie Together, Die Together. Jeremy tells Caitlin in the car that he's not a monster. He did it to protect her family. Caitlin's like, Nolan? ? He's like, I can't tell you all of it right now. Leave with me tonight or we can say goodbye. Everyone else meets up at Allie's and Ava can't reach Caitlin. Mona says we can't wait for Caitlin to bring the evidence to Claire. There's a knock at the door. Allison says it's Taylor and tells everybody that they can trust her. Taylor comes in and like there's like some warmth between her and Dylan. It was like,
how do they know
familiarity.
each other? That's one of my questions.
So when did was she technically around the year before? I guess it would have been like, this is one of Nolan's friends.
But no, they wouldn't actually hang out. Like, it's not like Dylan was at the house.
Did they not?
No, remember, this is like his like fake posse of friends.
Right, but he never like brought them around.
Oh, I'm sure he brought, like they showed up for things because they were supposed to. So I guess maybe, but like, wouldn't she then have known Ava?
Wait, no, but Ava wasn't supposed to be a... Oh, wait, she was just like
around.
a friend.
Yeah.
Because she was still part of the group.
Uh-huh.
Well, okay. So I guess Ava would have been around. But she... Yeah, because then she introduced herself to her.
Mm-hmm. So was Ava not around? Like, how long was Dylan pretending to be Nolan's friend?
Yeah. I don't know, this doesn't match up.
The timeline, as per Pretty Little Liars.
Oh my God, the time does not make sense in this show either. We're like at the end of the school year. I'm like, how long has this been going on? They're all talking about summers.
Yeah. They really skipped a lot.
Uh-huh. I was like, whoa, we're beginning to
And
end.
it's not like a Gilmore Girls where they like center you in the episode of where you are in time. They're like, oh, the pumpkins are out, so then you know it's fall. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
it's the first day of school, or like it's the end of summer, and then the next one's the first day of school, and then the next one's like Halloween, and then Thanksgiving. Like even then, you're kind of like, okay, but instead we had like
We had midterms.
we had midterms once.
Christmas-ish.
But was it Christmas or was it just her remembering Christmas?
Christmas, right.
And then also, so was this all the second semester of that year? So did Allison start the job in the middle of the school year?
Started as the TA then.
Anyway, back. You tell us your little story.
Right. There's like warmth between her and Dylan, and Taylor introduces herself to Ava and is like, there's things we got to talk about later. And then Mona pulls the thumb drive out for Taylor to give to Claire. For them to give to Claire. I didn't realize that we then cut to the 5 of them all being in Claire's office. I had assumed that like Taylor was going to do this to talk to her mom, but everybody's just there. And they play the audio, and Claire's like, thank you for sharing this with me. I'm relieved to know the person I hired to find out who killed my son is following my instructions. Who could have foreseen this happening? Taylor's like, no one in this room killed Nolan. Claire's like, well, they all lied about where they were the night that night, including Allison, so stay out of Booker's way.
You almost said the night Allison disappeared.
Allison died, yeah. Claire takes a call and says, everyone but Allison can leave. She exits the room, and then Dylan gets a notification that he has to see the ethics committee later that day.
That's how this show should have ended, with Allison disappearing.
That would have been great. Yeah, it's like, oh no, Allison might have died. Instead,
Allison's
Taylor
gone.
just gets shoved into a van off screen and leaves.
Yeah, but it's like, oh, Allison's gone.
Yeah.
We're
Where's
not-
Allie? And there's just a yellow tank top on the floor.
Yellow tank top on the floor.
What happened?
She was raptured.
Yeah. You know, if they're that 3rd season of whatever the original sin is going to be, we're available.
I'm sure they want us writing it.
Yeah. I mean, catch. Well, they may want you because you're the one who came up with the idea. I'm just,
You took it. You yes and.
Yeah.
The
But I
team.
mean,
we're a writing team.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we come as a duo. We're packaged. But if you just want to hire one of us, that's okay too.
You think they're listening?
Just in case.
That's
Could
fair,
be
that's
one of the
fair.
100. Later, Claire asks Allie whose idea it was to trap Booker and why was Taylor involved. Allen's like, she wants to find out who killed Nolan and knows Booker's on the wrong track. Claire says, I can't trust your students. I don't want my daughter involved. Allison's like, she's strong. Claire's like, she isn't. There are things you don't know. Don't bring her into your mess. Dylan comes back to Andrew and says he didn't hear a decision, but they said he should call his parents because he's probably going home. Andrew says, you can't be defined by one mistake. Dylan says Claire has the final vote on the committee. Yeah.
You can, but also, like, I would never forgive this. I think that's, like, I don't forgive that. That's not, if they weren't dating, it'd be one thing, but, like, obviously.
Also, this boy is piling up mistakes.
Yeah, you can't be judged for one mistake. Okay, but what about the other 7 you've made in the last 10 episodes?
You keep
9.
doing it. You keep putting your hand to see if the stove's hot. Dylan says,
But remember the packing peanut and hanging out with Ava.
you've seen that goddamn clip so many times of them throwing packing peanuts at each other. Got so sick of it. Dylan says Claire has the final vote on the committee and she's busy with the gala, so I won't hear from them today. Claire meets with Taylor and wants them to co-chair the gala that night. Taylor's like, this is about keeping me busy from messing with Booker. And Claire's like, you're right. I don't want you obsessing about what happened to your brother. Taylor's like, what happened after Dad? It won't happen again. And Claire says, good, I won't let it. Ava and Dylan are in the lounge.
Which, when we learn what that is, I'm like, all she did was create a really,
Well, she stopped eating and drinking.
Okay, yeah, but at first she was just creating a technology security system, which, granted, not something I want my child to do, but I think in this family it's supported.
So she talks about it was like 10 years ago, so 2009-ish, right?
Uh-huh.
I think security system. This is the other thing. What does Beacon Guard do other than like the weird biometric data that she added later that is different from like security systems?
It was like a Ring doorbell.
Yeah, Ring wasn't around in 2009.
No, I know, but like that's a...
integrated security systems on a campus definitely were.
Oh, yeah.
Same with Wi-Fi.
And it's like because when we had Deltopia, they put up the cameras to watch us.
Oh
Remember?
yeah.
They used to put up temporary security cameras on the streets so they could watch us and try to catch us doing sketchy things outside.
Yeah.
And we knew people who were caught doing sketchy things outside.
So this is maybe the big thing that we could talk about later. That it's like I understand the point it's trying to make, and there's certain uh, pieces where I understand, but also it's like super pedestrian to how our modern world lives. So like Beacon Guard doesn't seem that much extra threatening than anything else. So, anyways,
They're already tracking us.
yeah. And while there is a point about what these systems do and all that sort of stuff, I just think as a threat within the show, it's kind of like, yeah, no wonder nobody's blinking an eye about it because it's just every day.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. So maybe just it makes it just not hit in the same way.
Which is too bad because like it is an interesting concept and message, and like it is something we all think about and probably should be concerned about, but they don't turn it into that. They're just like, but some bad person has it.
Exactly.
It's not the technology, it's who has it.
It's a little vague that way. Although I will say it does come down harsher in the way that Taylor's actions are taken specifically. I think is a reflection of Beacon Guard.
Okay. Respect it.
So Ava and Dylan are... Oh, wait, we already did. They run into Booker. She says, "Thank you. Claire gave me a raise, and I'm more inspired than ever to track you." Ava's like, "You passed your last..." Ava, you passed your last... You paid your last installment of tuition in cash. You haven't left the campus for days. You're still hiding your cash around here. Dylan looks at her weirdly, and Booker's like, "Oh, you're still keeping secrets." When Booker leaves...
Isn't it like she's stalking her? It's so creepy.
It really is. But on Claire's orders. So then that's the other thing. It's like Booker's not a thing of Beacon Guard. Anyway. When Booker leaves, Dylan then turns to Ava's like, "You can trust us." They get a text from Kaylin that she needs to see them. Everyone is gathered around Kaylin. She says, I didn't get full details, but it sounded like a confession, and apologized to Ava in case she was responsible for Nolan's death. Taylor says, "How did you leave it with him?" Kaylin's like, "I couldn't go with Jeremy. He dropped me off outside of town, and I think he's heading into the city." Taylor says she'll use Beacon Guard to see where Jeremy was the night Nolan was killed, and she'll find proof today. Kaylin says she wants to find out the truth. Ava shows Dylan and Caitlin her cash. She says she kept it a secret because her dad wanted her to. Ava wants them to help her move it off campus. Taylor's at her RV alone using Beacon Guard to look up Jeremy. Ava hides her cash at Kaylin's house, but like just in a little drawer.
It's like in the living room in a drawer.
It's a really bad
I'm
spot.
like, why not in Kaylin's room?
Yeah, it's like
The
my
attic?
mom. Sorry. Yeah,
Anywhere?
She's just like, I'm gonna trust that my mom is not gonna suddenly want to like turn on music. Caitlin's mom comes in unexpectedly. Claire invited her to the gala. She has a bad reaction to meeting Ava because she hears her last name. Ava shows herself out, and Caitlin's like, "That was inappropriate," and her mom and her fight over being associated with Ava. Mona gets ready for the gala, and Mason's over. They have some really awkward flirtation. And then the phone rings. It's a call from Claire. He says, "I stayed in touch with her since Nolan's funeral." The shoe drop on this is quite something.
Oh, it's something, all right.
Andrew tells Dylan there's no way he's never seeing him again. Dylan says he'll find some way to stay there, and Andrew's like, "Well, I'll help you." Andrew gives him a watch for his anniversary and gave with the time they met at orientation, and Dylan shows him the song he wrote for him. Taylor ignores...
They act like Dylan getting kicked out of school means that he's now going to get blacklisted from the state.
That he can't live in Oregon at all.
Yeah, and it's not like he can go to a different music college. It's like, what else are you going to do, buddy?
Right.
They're going to kick you out of the state of Oregon?
He's banned. Taylor ignores a text from her mom. She gets an alert on her Beacon Guard that an intruder is approaching. It's Ava, and Claire pulls a gun on her. Ava says, "I thought you wanted to talk." And Claire's like, "That was before we knew Jeremy killed my brother." Taylor then lowers it and is like, "Ava, Nolan loved you more than anything, and he only slept with that girl to push you away. I found out a year ago someone..."
That's what they all say.
It's such a wild thing. You've pointed out, and I think on the podcast and we were watching, it's like, couldn't it just broken up with her?
Like, what a wild choice.
Taylor found out...
And I don't love you anymore?
Yeah.
Not I'm going to sleep with someone else in your room.
You could use your words before you jump to there.
You can use your words before your dick. Everyone knows that's the rule.
That's right.
It's also a good lesson on consent. Use your words before your dick.
That's right. That's our new campaign across college campuses. Taylor found
Hand
out.
out free condoms with that on it.
That's right. Now remember, when you're going to pull this out, you got to look at it.
Read the instructions.
Verbal consent. Taylor found out a year ago someone hijacked Beacon Guard and used it to spy on a select few people. She never found out who the people were, but got too close. But apparently she got too close and then had to leave. Nolan knew all this and wanted Ava to have no part in this. They agreed Jeremy could have done it because he was jealous of Nolan. Killed Nolan, that is. He apparently followed Nolan around and accessed the computer to have the Beacon Guard blackout that night and was walking towards Thorn Hall right before the blackout. Caitlin calls Jeremy and says she wants to leave with him. He tells her he'll text her a location in a few hours. Caitlin hangs up and we see the crews all gathered around. Caitlin hopes he'll tell the truth. Taylor says there's 6 of us and 1 of him. He won't get away. Dylan asks if they're still going to the gala and Taylor says no, but I was like, if we don't go, it'll look suspicious. Mason visits Claire. She thanks him for being there and he thanks her for being so understanding. She says, let me know if you need anything. As he leaves, she calls for active surveillance on Mason. Ava visits Zach in the lounge. A famous artist, Leah Redman, will be at the gala that night, and Ava wants him to show Leah his work. Zach says, I'm working the event. I'll be passing out champagne. I can't do that. Taylor's nervous about not hearing from...
I just realized he's our artsy Caleb.
Oh.
He's our sad, not rich boy, but he's getting his money back.
But then he gets his money, yeah. And it's all fixed, all paved over. No poor boys here. Taylor's...
That was my dating slogan. Just kidding. No poor boys here.
You know, audience, feel free to put that onto your dating profile. Taylor...
I can't promise it'll bring you any success.
God. I can only imagine what you get responses from that.
Oh, God.
Taylor's nervous not hearing...
Finance bros.
Taylor's nervous not hearing from Jeremy and wants it over with. For Nolan, of course, not for herself. Allison says, put it on the back burner. We got a gala. Taylor's like, I don't know if I can. And Allie's like, we don't have a choice. Claire appears, and Taylor figures out she's being actively surveilled, or else why would Claire know she's here? Claire says all the lies and covering up is just like last time. Taylor's like, well, I'm eating and sleeping, so I'm fine. Caitlin comes home and finds Booker there with her mom and the bag of money found. Where did you get this?
Okay, but honestly, like, I wouldn't think to look there, like, with the record spot.
Right. And I'm assuming...
They let this, like, come to roost so quickly. Like, I thought they'd, like, play with this for a while. Like, oh, her mom's there, but she didn't open the bag.
Oh, we haven't played music in forever, and goes to...
Yeah.
No.
Just
Booker's there.
Weird.
Later, Caitlin asks why Booker was there, because Booker's now gone. It's just her and her mom. Her mom says Booker called because she was concerned. Where did you get that money? Caitlin's like, I haven't seen it before today. I was just holding it for a friend. Her mom says, we don't lie. That's not who we are. Caitlin says calls her hypocrisy out, and her mom says she's coming home to live with them in D.C. It's the gala.
I would just threaten to rat her out. Like, I would have blackmailed. I would have been like, okay, you take me.
I'll tell mom.
I'm telling mom.
I'll tell Washington Post.
Forget mom.
I'll go.
I'm going nuclear. I'm calling the AP. I'm calling Washington Post. Calling the New York Times.
We're going big. You're not going to get that governor election at all. The gala, everybody's there. Booker goes over to Dylan and says, shouldn't you be packing your bags, or do you have something to tell me? And Dylan's like, wait for it, and walks away. He meets Caitlin and her mom asks if they're seeing each other. And Dylan's like, oh, I'm gay. And then her mom's like, oh, you're out and proud. Good for you.
It's really fucking weird.
It's really weird. Caitlin and Dylan step away. Ava, it's like not natural at all, because you think you would be like, oh, good for you.
Yeah.
It's like this weird put upon thing, and I don't
understand it. Yeah, because I'm like, well, I'd assume.
Why is she uncomfortable? It seems uncomfortable.
Yeah, and I'm like, but
you're gay.
Yeah.
She's homophobic, but only for men.
Jesus Christ.
Caitlin and Dylan step away. Ava approaches, and Caitlin says, Booker has your money. I'm so sorry. Ava's more worried about going to jail because she was, spending that money. Dylan says maybe there's a way to get it back. Caitlin tells him about being pulled out of school, and she tries calling Jeremy again, but gets his voicemail. We see a computer running a script as the names for Caitlin, Allie, Ray, Ava, Dylan, Mona, and Taylor are all listed out, and then it says complete. Ava, it's like a computer just in it, like a room by itself.
We'll never see Ray again.
No, I have a question on Ray. Ava wonders why Booker isn't arresting her yet, and then Booker and Claire talk, and Booker says, "We also have audio, there's no doubt," and Claire's like, "Thank you." Claire goes over to Mona and Allie and asks to speak to Mona alone. Claire says, "I just found out a member of my staff is having an inappropriate relationship with a student. I'm terminated. I mean, sorry, you're terminated,
I was
Mona."
gonna say, it's me.
Yeah, I'm firing myself. Allie asks Taylor about what Claire was referring to earlier, and Taylor's like, "I created Beacon Guard after my dad was murdered. He was gunned down in an alley, crime alley, and then I took on the cowl and I became Batman."
It really is like a strange, like, it's like they just keep saying this man was gunned down in an alley, and I'm like, why?
It's you
In Oregon?
right. I can't.
Not saying there's no crime. You know what I mean? People, it's America. People get shot everywhere. We have too many fucking guns. But it's just, there's no plot around this. There's no politicizing his death. There's no anything. It's just like he was gunned down in an alley, so now we have video cameras everywhere. That wouldn't have stopped it.
Right.
What would that have prevented?
Nothing.
When people are watched, they behave better. That's bullshit.
Mm-hmm. It's absolute bullshit. It doesn't work at all.
Look at the government.
But it's just Batman. It's like if Batman's mom lived. That's I can't help but think of it every single time. Like gunned down in an alley. I'm like, that's how Batman's parents died. And then she's like, I needed to like take down the criminals. But instead of like going out and punching people, she's like, I put up cameras everywhere. At 14.
I study people's walking gait.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Taylor says, I wanted to... Wait, sorry. Alice says, if people know they're being watched, they'll behave, like you just said. Taylor says, I wanted to continue making it better, and I stopped eating and sleeping. She was 14 at the time, but her mom locked her out of it and took it. She was with her dad when he was shot.
Her mom stole the game.
Yes. There you go. Not the professor, but the dean. I don't know what she is. Actually.
I don't know what she is either.
I thought she was just like a really wealthy donor, but instead she's like the tyrant.
I have a question for the second episode. It's like, who's their HR? Because Claire shouldn't be allowed to do any of the things she's doing.
Right. Unilateral moves. The BHU dictator. I had no choice but to create Beacon Guard, but I still couldn't save my brother. Yeah. Interesting. Mason and Mona talk privately. Mona's like, this was a mistake. And he's like, did I do something wrong? She's like, she's like, I did. Don't call me. This ends now. Ava talks to the Vanity Fair person and sees Zach and Leah. Ava tells Zach to go talk to her and gives him a pep talk and a kiss. He goes off and talks to her while Ava picks up his champagne and continues working for him. Dylan visits with Claire and says he didn't do anything to hurt Nolan. Claire's like, oh, is that all you have to tell me? And then he's like, well, you're also the deciding vote on the ethics committee. And she's like, how dare you ask me for anything? If Booker is right about you, you'll be expelled. Being expelled would be the least of your problems. Andrew comes over and tells him the conductor for the Seattle Symphony is here, and I have a plan B, and I'll make sure it happens. Andrew walks up onto the stage and grabs a mic. He introduces Dylan's song that he wrote for him and plays it over the speaker. Andrew then walks up to the conductor to talk. Caitlin gets a text to meet by the river and calls everyone together to leave. Taylor asks Claire why she saw... Taylor asks her mom why she saw Dr. Benson in attendance, and Claire's like, I think it's good for you to spend some time at the retreat. You're leaving after the party. Taylor says no, and Claire says, don't make a scene. The one who will be most embarrassed is you, as Booker comes over. The rest want to go, but Allie says she doesn't feel right leaving Taylor behind. Taylor tells Claire that she'll leave now, and the two walk off, and then the rest of them hurry off. The five hurry to Mona's car, but then we stop for a minute for Caitlin, Ava, and Dylan to have a heart-to-heart. And then Mona is even like, what are you doing? Get in the car.
She's having a little panic attack.
Yeah, but then they're all like, I love you so much, guys. It's like the drunk speech at the end of, yes, I love you so much. The crew arrive at the river and can't find Jeremy. Now, Jeremy's got some style. He's got some class, this guy. Arrives in a speedboat. Runs the corner. But everybody's still standing on the dock and then goes, oh shit. Runs off. Jeremy doesn't notice them. The others. And then he pulls up.
Does he wear glasses?
Oh, he does.
Maybe he's not wearing his glasses.
I could have sworn I saw That got me.
I was being serious.
I'm just just imagining him in the speedboat and you see these blobs on shore, but he's like, I don't know if those are people.
I mean, that's why he doesn't notice it's the wrong car until he gets a little closer.
That's true. Oh,
Is he wearing his glasses in this scene?
I don't think so. Just driving the speedboat. God damn, I should have worn goggles. I can't see shit.
I mean, but for real though.
I know.
I had to get glasses just so I could see the menus at restaurants.
It makes it so much funnier if that's the case.
It's Pretty Little Liars. I mean, is there really a case, or is this just purely?
Yeah. Okay, Jeremy. Okay, but as the four run away, Taylor pulls up in the wellness retreat car. She stole it. Jeremy
girl
runs
boss.
up. Absolutely.
And then she girl bosses a little too hard in just a second.
I'm telling you, this is Batman tendencies. Jeremy runs up to Caitlin on the dock. He asks whose car is parked there, and she's like, I can't go with you, and I gotta stay. And he's like, well, I can't stay. If the police find me, my life will be over. The other five come up and tell him he's not going anywhere. Taylor then pulls a gun when Jeremy tries to walk away. He just continues backing up, and she shoots him. Allie's like, he was running toward you. And everybody immediately goes into cover-up mode. And then Ava especially, with some horrible ADR, but walks up, grabs a pipe, and then puts it into his hand.
I think it's like a stick.
Okay,
like a steak.
A steak. As Kaylin is doubled over him crying because her boyfriend was shot 2 times. Ava's like, excuse me?
Let me plant some evidence.
And then puts the pipe in his hand, and then Kaylin is like, he's alive, guys, he's alive. The end. It's my favorite scene of the entire season of Ava walking up while Caitlin is crying over her boyfriend that could be dead and is being like, let me just plant this evidence on him.
So some of my questions are no longer relevant. You know, for example, why is Claire suspicious of Mason? Well, she just wants to know where her little boy toy is going.
Yeah, I didn't, when I was thinking back over this episode, I was like, oh, she's jealous.
Yeah. Isn't that weirder?
It's so much weirder.
So my only real questions for you is like, what's Claire's angle with Taylor? Like, is she ostracizing her? Does she think she's helping her? Is she getting her out of the way?
I'm assuming keeping her under her thumb. So it is keeping her out of the way, but also just like keeping her under her control, I think is the whole thing.
Since we get no more information on this on the next episode, I might as well ask you now. What did Jeremy do?
I assumed that he was responsible for the blackout and he was apparently hired by the professor. I had thought at some point...
He was hired by the professor? Is that what they say?
The professor says that.
Oh, I didn't remember.
The professor then goes like, he was under my employ.
Oh. I wasn't listening that well.
I don't know. You're like, who's this chump?
Because I was like, I know we're never going to find out.
Right. It's at the same time. But I think he's the one who causes the blackout. I'm pretty sure they say that.
They prove that.
But I don't know why he would be. I guess because
that's why I'm like, what else did he do?
Maybe that he's complicit in Nolan's murder.
Just because he caused the blackout?
I think maybe because he was like hired on the basis of
like he knew they were coming for Nolan. So it's the professor who killed Nolan?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
The professor goes, I killed Nolan.
I know, but do we believe them?
Yeah.
Okay. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of villainy lying in Pretty Little Liars.
Right, yeah. That's at least, I would, without more episodes to go off of, I'm just going that's the explanation. You know what I mean?
Why would Taylor not just leave fucking town?
I don't know why Taylor, it drives me nuts. I think Taylor's entire arc over the season is so wild. I just don't understand. I guess maybe there's some connection to Beacon Guard. Maybe that's like she wants to get control back over it.
And she wants to figure out who killed her brother, I guess.
Right, yeah. Yeah, because the thing I do find interesting is that I had originally assumed that Nolan and Taylor wanted to take down Beacon Guard. But they just want to find out who was suspiciously taking over Beacon Guard.
Who was hijacking it.
Yeah. So Taylor's a villain. An absolute villain. Like she set up an entire she like because like there was a really traumatic incident in her life where her dad was murdered. She sets up an entire surveillance state on a college campus in
Okay, but
town.
we've all made mistakes at 14.
But she like doubled down on it and
Oh, yeah,
uses like
no.
biometric data to track people. Like it was supremely invasive shit. And then also, so this is part of my like think of like why I think it works with at least why I think what the show's comments on surveillance states and what the like what it does to people, especially like people that are in power.
Do you think that's why this wasn't picked up again? It was too dangerous.
That's right. Not that no one watched it and cared.
It was so cold.
It was very cold. No, but looking at the ratings, actually, like, because in anticipation of the Riverdale season, I was just poking around the Wikipedia because it's safe for me to do that, but I can't scratch the itch of looking at original sin stuff. But the ratings were pretty similar to like the last season of Riverdale. So I guess they just wanted a bigger hit, like PLL.
But the last season of Riverdale didn't have good ratings.
Yeah, like 6 and 7. You know what I mean?
Yeah, which 6 is fun.
Yeah.
6 is a superhero season.
Yeah, look forward to that. Also, you're going mystery in a small town using Archie Comics characters, superhero season? What are you talking about? And I go, I don't have any better explanation for you.
Wait until you get to Chip. Which one is the question you want to be asking? And it's not the one from Beauty and the Beast.
Chip.
My brother Chip.
Good times ahead. Very excited for that.
Well,
we got some really good artwork too. So.
Yeah, we did. We're very excited about that. But first, this and Original Sin.
That's right.
So focus.
We gotta finish this up.
Okay.
Oh, but I was making a point.
You were sorry, I was pausing.
Because Taylor so clearly demonstrates in the scene where she shoots Jeremy, like everything we've seen about like police brutality of like police shooting innocent victims. And as the head, she's essentially the police, right? Where she's like set herself up as this for surveillance state trying to control people. And what that does to you is you immediately think of people as suspects. And when you have any inch of leeway, you immediately regard them as dangerous. And so when they're like dangerous or something could potentially be happening, you're far more likely to fire a gun. You'd use violence to like enforce those rules because she set up the state, but she just didn't have anything to like hammer down on it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's the type of I think it's good that it's pointing out the type of mindset that comes from being in charge of like trying to like control and manage people and like that sort of like extra in that like judicial way almost.
Okay. Why do any of these parents think they can make decisions for their adult children? Like, we see this with Claire. We see this with Caitlin and her mom.
Mm-hmm.
It's really weird to me. I guess maybe if they're paying for school.
Yeah.
It's like that power struggle of like, how much can the parent do?
And with Claire, it's a with Claire and Taylor. So yeah, Caitlin's right because they can take away all the money.
Mm-hmm.
Claire and Taylor, it's a bit more slippery because it's like mental health. That it's like you are not, you cannot care for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
That's like the excuse.
Oh, yeah, I guess, this is weird.
Mm-hmm.
Who's making the list on the computer and what's it for? Like the beacon guard that's pulling the data.
The professor.
So are those all the people that were invited then, do you think, to the Crimson Society we'll get in the next episode?
Right. And I guess that doesn't like fully line up because like Ray's not there. Taylor's not there.
Are those the only two missing? There were 2 chairs that were empty.
Oh, and those were for the Lord.
He gets 2.
That's right. One for Taylor because Taylor. I'm trying to think. I think those were the only 2 that was missing.
Okay, that could work.
Yeah. So it's Caitlin, Allie, Ray, Ava, Dylan, Mona, and Taylor.
Okay.
So we're only missing Taylor and Ray.
Okay, so those are the 2 chairs. That fits neatly.
Yeah, I think so. Because I guess that we'll talk about our last theory corner will be, or office hours, I think, should just be kind of going over the theory that you had found, and then I can propose my alternate theory.
Yeah, that's really all I have because, like, a lot gets answered in the next episode, and also
Yeah,
it's weird.
I don't think like the rest of the episode is too enticing either, with like the gala conceit and where that's all leading off. And I just don't care about the Mona Mason relationship, and that gets a whole lot weirder next episode. So we can talk about that there. I don't think there's any. I think just the big takeaway I think is just reframing Taylor in a very different light. So yeah, should we just move on to the next? And of course, Jeremy driving up in a speedboat. Come on now. Should we just move on to the next one then?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, all right. Episode 10. Enter the Professor. Professor. The friends tell Booker that it was self-defense. Mona tells her Jeremy killed Nolan. Caitlin says he was my boyfriend while I was with Nolan. They tell them about Jeremy stalking Nolan and hand her the USB with evidence. Taylor gets driven away to the wellness retreat off screen. Claire thanks them all for catching the person who killed Nolan, and sorry for going after all of you, and I had my trust in the wrong hands. She leaves and they tell Booker they're trying to break them apart when they brought them together. Allie says you get an A for effort. You get an F. Caitlin calls the hospital to check on Jeremy's condition. Her mom asks if she needs help packing. Caitlin says she's not going. Her mom says we're doing this because we're worried. You had a secret boyfriend who killed Nolan. It's a lot to deal with. You know what? Fair enough. She talks shit on Ava and Dylan. She's arranged for Caitlin to be Senator Hastings' summer intern, and she'll also be seeing a therapist. Caitlin stays, she'll be cut off financially. Ava got great feedback from the Vanity Fair person for helping out with Zach. He asked he's like, oh, what are we? And then he also got great news from Leia. Ava gets nervous because things are going so well, so something bad must happen soon. And then Zach says, nothing bad will happen. Nothing bad actually does happen, really, to Zach.
To be honest, not a lot happens.
Yeah. Ava says she'll need a job to pay her way, and Zach says, I thought you had money. And she's like, not anymore. But they agreed to be in New York together over the summer. Ooh. Dylan got a second chance from the ethics committee, and looks like he'll get the summer internship thanks to Andrew. Mona packs up her house, including her creepy dolls. She's upset about never finding out what the list was pulling their names for. What the script was pulling their names for. Allie says some puzzles are never meant to be solved. Maybe getting out of here will be okay. Taylor's at Riverwell now, and Mona says it's on. I looked it up online, and it seems like a touchy-feely place, so it shouldn't be too bad.
Needless to say, she's probably being tortured.
Absolutely, but we just didn't. We just don't see that. Allie feels a bit lost now, and Mona invites her to come back to Philly with her. People are staring on campus at the Perfectionists because of the news of them helping catch Nolan's murderer. Jeremy is doing better, but won't talk to anybody. Caitlin still cares for him, though. As they come up to order the coffee cart, Dylan notices that his high school bully is the barista and freaks out. Ava comes home and finds her dad. She says, Mom let you grow out a beard, and he's like, I had to change my look to see you. Listener, it's Bailey Stubble. He looks the exact same in the flashback that he does here. He says, Mom and I want to come home, and then Ava tells him about Booker being there. He's like, I still have most of the money. If I return, I'll have a reduced If I return it, I'll have a reduced sentence. You'll be receiving a sealed box or sealed envelope via courier later. Ava says the other money he left is gone. He says, it's okay. It's just a distraction from Booker. Ava says, I'll help however I can. Dylan freaks out about his bully to Andrew. He wants to confront him. The bully's name is Luke, and Andrew offers to go with him. Ava answers her door to Booker. Booker says an unidentified man showed up on Beacon Guard earlier today. I'm not going to make you lie about your dad being here. I'm out of Claire's good graces. You need money, and I need to get back in the FBI. If we work together, we can both get what we want. It's like you have to give the FBI, look at what I did. I caught a criminal. Let me back in. The FBI believes he's only in possession of half the money he stole, and I think he's only back to get the rest of it.
Is she allowed to share that information?
She's not with the FBI, so,
But I would assume your NDA still holds.
Oh, yeah, but that's not Booker's MA. This is a woman who is terrorizing children, so. All right, young adults. Help me out, or I'll turn in the money you had to the cops. Allie answers the door to Mason, and then leaves Mona's place for them to talk. Mona tells him to go, and she got fired. He says, stop packing. You're not going anywhere. Allie comes home to an envelope with her name on it and a wax seal. She finds an invite inside to the Crimson Society. Caitlin tries to buy coffee, but her card gets declined. Ava gets her coffee for her, and Caitlin sees her Crimson Society invite. Caitlin got one too. Legend goes that BHU had an old society like Skull and Bones. Ava gets a text that the package was delivered and walks off. Caitlin asks Allie about applying for a scholarship, and Allie's like, well, they actually give those to students in need.
Unfortunately, girly, that's not you.
And you can go to Georgetown. Why would you even want to stay here? Caitlin's like, well, I have friends now, like you said. And Allie's like, well, I can be wrong. I'm sorry, I've screwed you guys up. Caitlin's like, it's okay. You're unconventional and uniquely you. You can't say that about most people. She has like this whole long like speech about like, like just being yourself. You're just like your own individual, unique person. It says nothing about what Allie actually, who actually is as a person. Mona visits Claire. Claire asks why she's not back in Rosewood. Mona says she's not leaving and she's keeping her job. I know why you're firing me. It's because I slept with Mason. Jealous much? He told me how you comforted each other, quote unquote, after Nolan's death. What the fuck?
We didn't get that scene.
Claire gets up and makes a call. She says over the phone that she's decided not to terminate Mona and she'll be staying on. It's so funny that Claire is like folds. Like, really? That's not the Claire we've seen. Claire just folds immediately. Ava comes home with the envelope. She finds her dad sitting at her desk. She gets mad at him for lying and using her to get the money. He needed bank account numbers, and she hid the notebook that was inside the parcel with the bank account numbers. He's like, that's too much money for you to handle. You'll get caught. And Ava says, well, I learned how to use other people's money from watching you, Dad. He's like, I'm sorry for making you like me. And she's like, I'm nothing like you. Allie walks campus alone at night. She arrives at the Crimson Society meetup to find Caitlin, Mona, Dylan, and Ava. They find this extremely weird. The TV behind them lights up and a speaker tells them to take their seats. A video comes on the screen that shows when Jeremy got shot. They thought they were off campus so they wouldn't get caught. A voice comes on that says, welcome to the experiment, phase 2. As the video shifts to a webcam on the top of the TV. Caitlin wonders if the camera was actually Beacon Guard. The voice says it's been inspiring watching you, but now that we know you're guilty of murder, I can take this experiment to the next phase. Dylan asks who they are. They say they killed Nolan. Jeremy was part of the experiment as well. He surveilled everyone on their instruction. Jeremy has been removed. And Caitlin's like, what do you mean? They all freak out, and Mona says we can't win the game if we don't know the rules and tells them all to be quiet since they're being watched. Caitlin tries to call Jeremy but gets hung up on. Mona wonders why they're being pulled into the experiment. Ava tells them about Beacon Guard's gate pattern that Taylor programmed, and Allie says that Taylor created it. Ava says someone hijacked Beacon Guard, and Taylor went on the run. Mona notices the lights are on in the trailer, and they wonder if someone's in there. Allie says maybe Taylor's back, and then suddenly the trailer explodes. All their phones go off, and it looks like they're calling themselves. They answer, and it's the voice from earlier from the professor that says participation in the experiment is mandatory. Back at Allie's, Allie and Mona tell everyone to play along with the game. Mona tells Caitlin maybe she can find out the connection between Jeremy and the professor. They all agree they need to keep that video from getting out. The next day, Mona visits Claire and gets the recording of her and gives her the recording of her and Mason. Gets the recording from Claire of her and Mason. Jesus. Claire tells Mona she's watching her. Ava balances money from the bank account to different account, or moves it. Dylan goes to stand up to Luke and tells him not to mess with him, or he'll regret it. Mona has a USB with a list of all the cameras and dead zones from Beacon Guard. Private living zones are apparently safe. Devices can be monitored, though. So it's that there's no microphones or anything in your living quarters, but they can monitor your phones and laptops and things.
If you're connected to the Wi-Fi.
And also, they have laptops that are Beacon Guard branded, or not Beacon Guard, BHU branded. So those are obviously loners.
Or they put the school sticker over it.
Fair enough. And everybody did?
Yeah, because they can't show the device on television unless they don't want to do free product placement.
That's true.
It's like how Spencer's computer was always a MacBook, but it was always covered.
Right. Yeah, I just assumed that it was like, oh, everybody is like, this is like the BHU thing.
At least I think it was a MacBook.
Yeah, I think so too. But yeah, I assumed that this is like, you're all part of BHU. You all have these beautiful laptops and things. Yeah. That's what funding gives.
Must be nice.
Mm-hmm. Devices can be monitored. Caitlin feels bad that Jeremy is in the hospital because of them. Yeah, fair enough. Allie says no. Wait, but also like, Jeremy, like you're acting suspicious. Allie says, no, this is the professor's fault. Remember that. The professor pulled the gun and shot him twice. Caitlin gets a text. She doesn't actually say that. That's me editing it. Caitlin gets a text from her mom that she needs to see her before she goes. Everyone's phone goes off to a call from the professor. The voice says, "Tell me what keeps you up at night. Tell me your worst fears." Allie says, "We need to study them while they study us." Allie speaks to a counselor about changing her major to psychology. This is such a funny turn. She's like, "I know what I need to do. I need to take psychology classes."
I need to become a psychology master's.
As if she didn't have 7 years of life experience of knowing what it's like for someone to get in the head of someone that is like trying to terrorize you on purpose. What is she going to learn in psychology that she didn't learn in the original series?
Or like, call your friends. Call Spencer.
Yeah, get them all in. Yeah, call Spencer, actually. Spencer should be the first one in your list.
Or Hannah if you just want instincts.
That's true. Allie tells a security camera that she's too broken to be fixed. This isn't a study room that has other people in it. Caitlin tells her mom that she's staying there and asks for another chance to prove she can hack it at BHU. Her mom agrees, but say they'll be keeping a close eye on her. Her mom leaves, and Caitlin records in the webcam that she's afraid and she'll fail at school and in life. Ava goes to visit Zach and sees Booker. Booker says Zach's happy because an anonymous person transferred half the money back to the rightful owners. Maybe I was wrong about you. Booker leaves, and Ava speaks to the security camera, and she's like, "I'm afraid I'll become just like my father." Mona cries while she tries to break up with Mason because she made a promise to Claire. Mason says, "We're two consenting adults. This could be something." Mona tells him she's sorry and shows him the door. She opens up her laptop and says, "You want to know what my greatest fear is? Dying before I find out who you are, you bitch." Dylan leaves his dorm and speaks to a security camera that he's afraid he'll have to go home. He walks down to see Luke standing in the path. He turns away, weirded out, but then turns back around and he's gone. And he turns back around again and it's Luke's there. Luke apologizes for treating him so bad. He was also gay and resented Dylan for being out. Dylan says, "That doesn't erase what you put me through, though." Luke says, "I'm not leaving Beacon Heights until I can show you I've changed." Dylan leaves, and the counselor Allie met leaves the building and makes a call. It's like, she's hired as the next TA. She doesn't know it yet, but she's in. Damn, the professor is so fucking nefarious that he can make someone get a master's in psychology, like, and make it seem like it was their idea. And then someone watches all their videos on a laptop in the campus lounge, and then Zach comes over and says, "Want a refill, Professor?" The end.
Okay.
Bump, bump.
How did Dylan's high school bully end up at BHU serving coffee out of his Luke?
It's a Luke's truck, yeah.
Yeah, he's Luke with his Luke's truck. I thought that was a little...
He brought his business to BHU because he felt so bad and he needed to apologize to Dylan.
They were obviously setting this up to be like a love interest.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Which I'm just like, why? Give this poor boy a chance to succeed.
Yeah, it's out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't add anything, really, I don't think.
Well, it's not done in like a... Like, they rushed it, too. Like, if they were gonna, like, have this plotline of this person being like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, I was a horrible person," that'd be fine. But, like, why'd we shove it in at the end?
Right, yeah.
I guess because they thought they had more time.
Yeah.
We always think we have more time than we do.
Yeah. Definitely, here's the next season where he's going to be grappling with his past and Luke.
Claire pulls a whoopsie poopsie. "I'm sorry I accused you of murder." I
really
love that. I was like, okay, girl. I put my trust in the wrong person. What do you mean?
She was doing everything she was asked to do.
I mean, I'm not a Booker apologist, but...
I know, but like, you're the one who made the call, Claire. And you kept being like, "No, these kids, they're definitely sus. There's something up with them. I'm telling you, Booker."
Booker has the worst morals on the show, though.
Oh, absolutely.
Booker has the most gray, not at all black and white morals. Like, Booker is one of the Fae. Booker's like, "I don't operate in good and bad. I operate in, isn't it orange and green?" Like, their morality is completely different.
Because there is so many times where you could point to like Booker just being a horrible, selfish person. But then when Ava gives all the money back, it's like, wow, look at you.
And then Ava's like, "Well, that bag of money back, whatever." And she's like, "I might buy myself a new pair of shoes." And
oh,
you're
right.
Like,
keeps the money.
You can't. That's illegal. You just told Ava that. Anyway,
oh yeah, she's horrible.
Let's introduce the secret society at episode 10. I think is a really interesting choice.
Yeah, this is kind of like in the last season we just watched, where you're just like, but the conceit of this A is going to happen anytime now, and then you're like, Jesus Christ, when did this board game show up? This is kind of like this. It's like, oh, we're going to have the actual conceit of who's going to be harassing them next season.
Mm-hmm. What the actual fuck about Claire fucking Mason? What the actual fuck?
So out of nowhere.
It's so...
It makes Claire seem so much pettier.
Also, this man, I want the show from Mason's POV. Okay, think about it. Like, your childhood friend dies. You decide you're going to be an asshole like he was because he was very successful at it.
Uh-huh.
You weren't really close to him anymore. We don't know why. That'd be a fun backstory to unearth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You go to his funeral.
Backstory on Nolan other than, wow, he was actually such a good guy. You didn't know.
You go to his funeral. You see your ex-girlfriend who was dating Nolan, so you thought, but not really anymore. Now he's dead. You reconnect with his mom, apparently in more ways than one. And then you decide you're going to become a douchebag, like Nolan.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually you get too caught up in it and you get hit in the head by Caitlin.
Yeah.
And then you just turn around and decide you're going to be a better person and you're going to go play piano. And then you start fucking Mona.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, but true love wins. And I'm like, boy, are you okay?
So
I have so many questions about his life. How did he? Because he literally
How
only.
often are older women seeking him out?
One. Two. What personal choices and narrative brings him to there? You know what I mean? Like it's not even like, oh, I think he's suspicious, like he did something. I'm just like,
who are you?
Why do you only live to serve the plot? And boy, do you serve plot, but
oh, he served. But there's nothing there. There's nothing there.
I had a moment too when Claire's like, never mind, I don't want to fire Mona anymore. That's how you can tell that I'm old if you're watching on the podcast. I do the phone not by holding a fake iPhone, but by the thumb and the pinky.
Even we do.
But anyway, for the audio listeners, I'm sure that was really exciting. But
always got to do miming.
If I was working at HR at BHU, I'd be so fucking annoyed. Like, we're firing Mona. And I'm like, do we have cause? And they don't give me any. And I'm like, I guess I'll fill out the paperwork because, like, it's not my ass on the line for doing it because I covered my own ass. I asked all the questions. And then I finish the paperwork. I'm getting ready to hit send. And then I get a phone call and they're like, never mind. And I'm like, what do you mean? How do you rescind a termination if you won't tell me what she did? Or she had an inappropriate relationship with a student. If you did tell me what she did, we can't rescind that, girly pop. Mm-hmm. That's not one you can take back. If that was a violation of the rules, we don't get to give a little slap on the wrist warning.
If you work in that department, it's just, well, okay, you're going to get a call from Claire and you have to do exactly what she says.
Yeah. That's not how that works. I mean, sometimes it is. That's how CEOs want it to work, unfortunately. Most of them don't understand how business works.
Yeah, if you work at BHU, let me tell you, you're under the thumb of Claire.
Is Ava not making money through her web business videos thing? Because
doesn't seem like it.
I thought she was this whole time.
We open with how she's this big YouTuber or big
Girl
influencer.
Boss, yeah.
Yeah, but no, she's making no money. So how big is she?
Mm-hmm.
She's not. They just dropped that. She's not doing brand deals. She's not posting because they just put it. They're like, oh, this will be like a fun thing, but they don't actually know what it is. I don't think.
Or it could be like, oh, she's now having to do more brand deals because of it. You know what I mean? Or like settle for lesser brands. And it would have been a great place for product placement on the show.
Mm-hmm. But then it just turns into she's into fashion and looking for a
internship.
Yeah.
Who recorded them at the river?
The professor.
But how? Like, was it like, is there like a camera in a tree?
No, I think someone says like, oh, I didn't know Beacon Guard extended out their way. And they talk about
how they buy more land. But we don't know for sure if they bought that land. Mona's just saying they buy land around the school all the time.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if this is all part of the Beacon Guard surveillance network.
Okay.
And Beacon Guard is actually much farther out into the town than they realize.
If the professor's been watching them already, how do they not know their worst fears?
Yeah, and these are all really pedestrian. I find it really funny that it's just like, oh, game on, professor. We're going to tell you everything that we've been going through that you would have seen.
I guess maybe that is the tactic, you know?
But yeah, will they tell me their greatest fears?
Well, or like, am I correct in my assumption of their greatest fears?
Yeah.
It's like a psychological,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it could be both. Like, or I guess it depends on what the experiment is. Is the experiment, how much can I make them do a specific thing? How do they react to this? Or, is what is actually going on in their heads?
Is Taylor okay at Riverwell?
Absolutely not.
Do you think she's there? Do you think she got out?
Yeah, I think she actually is.
Oh, okay.
Um,
What's up with the professor Ali's TAing for? Who's she calling? What's going on?
I don't know. She doesn't know, but she's in. Maybe the professor is a professor of psychology. I don't know. It's really funny. That cracked me up. There's just like, oh, we got her to join the psych department.
Where's Ray?
What are you talking about? Where is Ray? Sweeping up a mess somewhere. It's like, goddamn, these packing peanuts are fucking everywhere.
Okay, and then last but not least, and you can take us to office hours for this. Who is the professor?
Ah, there you go. I just want to see if there's anything else in my little notesy notes here that we didn't already talk about. Oh, Mona in the mirror.
Yeah.
I can't believe we never got any explanation around that.
And Mona was in the mirror at Allie's house.
And there was a whole scene of all these people moving around in like an empty liminal space, like working. It looked like there's some. So is that all Beacon Guard too? Another thing we just dropped. Yeah, and then I put it like, I don't know what's up with Ray and the tragic girl and his backstory. All right, but let us head to.
So glad that I now get to be a TA of psychology. I only took AP psychology in high school. I never took a college psychology course because I decided I was too mentally ill to take any classes that were going to give me any ideas. I think I took a comm psych thing. You know what I mean? It was like a psychology of selling or comms or whatever the hell it was. I don't remember which comms class it was, but it's like human nature stuff. But I did not do psychology because I was like, whew, it's already dangerous in there. I don't need any more ideas.
Fair enough.
Sometimes your head is like a bad neighborhood. You got to bring a bat. That's what they told me at a church conference thing.
Interesting.
When I was 17, and I think about it all the time, and it falls flat every time, and yet it's stuck in here. And I'm like, that's not one. I've never walked around with a bat. I'm gonna be so for real. Two, what's a bad neighborhood? And that's a problem all in of itself, right?
What do the people look like in this hypothetical neighborhood?
It was a Catholic church conference, so you tell me. But then three, what did this have to do with Jesus? And so I think about it all the time, even though it's been like 13, 14 years.
That is an interesting one.
Because it's just stuck in here. And I understand that for some kids, they probably were like, oh, yeah, like you got to be on your guard with your head. You got to take care of yourself. And I just remember I went because I thought this boy in my youth group for my church was cute and he went to that one. I did not pick this session because I was interested in the topic. I couldn't tell you what it was. I said, oh.
Bats in neighborhoods. Interesting.
Like flying bats or like baseball? Because either way, I'm out.
This is not.
But regardless, I didn't need any more ideas from a psychology class.
You know who would walk around with a bat in a quote unquote bad neighborhood? Taylor.
Oh yeah. But you know why the neighborhood's dangerous? Taylor.
That's right. All right. So, why are we having office hours when the show ended and we don't get any resolution? Well, we can talk about supposed theories for what the hell is going on with the professor. So, Emily actually pulled one that was a good theory here. I
did, and there's more to it than I found. That this person did a whole nother Reddit post.
Oh, okay.
So this is on Reddit. It's by user Natalie Maury. They think that Taylor Hotchkiss is the professor. We learn in episode 2 that Nolan sent a message to Allison to meet him on the roof and tell her that Taylor was alive. Despite Nolan revealing this very important and sensitive to Taylor information, he was sure enough that he was talking to Allison before getting a full look at his killer. Who were we told looks like Allison? We don't just look alike, we think alike. That's right.
We never really get a button on that either, so...
Also, the second episode is the only episode that Taylor had long hair with curls like Allison, allegedly.
Okay.
I did not find this fact. This is all someone's Reddit post. Remember this if it's wrong. And tell us. Nolan was killed immediately after he wanted to tell Allison that Taylor was alive.
That's
Taylor
true.
did not agree that they should tell people about her. So that gives motive. The gum wrappers that Dylan found in the cabin were identical to the ones they find in the woods in episode 2. This is the only clue that connected them to the person that heard their conversation in the woods. So was it Taylor? Because she, it's the gum wrappers where she was hiding out. Yeah.
Right.
Allison even mentions in episode 5 that Taylor was hiding in some forest near Beacon Heights.
Right.
It's known that the main group discussed how to kill her there and, was at the same spot.
Mm-hmm.
In episode 1, we actually see Taylor monitoring Ava using Beacon Guard, like the professor admitted to doing.
Monitoring Ava?
Uh-huh. In episode 5, Taylor went missing from Allison's house after Caitlin hit Mason and right before Caitlin got hit by the car. It wasn't until after Mona got the update that the gate match had been found that Taylor started freaking out that she needed to get to her mobile Beacon Guard unit. That implies that Taylor messed with the system to trick Mona into thinking it was Dana. Like, that's their theory, is that she wanted to get to it to change the data.
Right.
In episode 10, the professor shows the main group the video in which Taylor does a little pew-pew at Jeremy. That's not theirs. I'm doing a little, this is a little summarized. And then blackmails them to obey his orders. The main group realized the shooting was part of the professor's plan and that they were manipulated. Why is this a hint for Taylor? First, she shot Jeremy really fast without letting him explain himself. Just right off the butt. Yeah. Just went, oh. And second, it's revealed the shooting was part of the plan. The professor knew they were going to shoot him.
Oh,
so
that's how they took that. Interesting.
So how would they know they were going to shoot them? Yeah.
I assumed that when they said Jeremy had been taken care of, that the professor had gone to the hospital and killed him.
Oh. Ooh.
So then that's when, when Caitlin freaks out of what do you mean?
Mm-hmm.
And we don't get an answer if he's alive or not.
So the professor wouldn't have been able to blackmail them until now. It's kind of the vibe.
Right. Mm-hmm. And that's what the professor says as much.
In episode 3, the professor puts a rat in Ava's car. The rat was put in Ava's car while they were outside of Taylor. Well, the car was outside of Taylor's cabin.
Oh, right. Mm-hmm.
Ava also said the box with the rat was where Nolan kept his stash. As we know, Nolan hid his stash in the family greenhouse where his mom and his sister like to garden and pick flowers.
Oh,
Who
good.
would know it was there? Taylor. Which makes me wonder, was Taylor his other insurance?
Yeah, I think essentially because they're so close. She knew everything that he knew.
Also, because of then there were none in episode 1, in the book, the killer turns out to be someone who faked their death.
Oh, man, spoilers.
I mean, and then they were none by Agatha Christie. I wasn't worried.
The hot new book.
But yes, spoilers. Sorry, my bad. And furthermore, this person posted a different thread, their own. That was a comment from 3 years ago. This is a post from 5 years ago. Time is very concerning for me because I feel like 2019 was yesterday.
It's wild.
This is another part of the theory about Taylor Hotchkiss. As we know, Caitlin was Nolan's fake girlfriend after they broke up due to him blackmailing her with her mom's affair. What if it's not the first time Caitlin's mother had betrayed her other mother with a man? What if she had an affair or flirtation with Peter Hotchkiss?
Is Peter their father?
I don't know if they're just using Peter because Peter Hastings or if but Mr. Hotchkiss.
Okay.
What if Taylor's actually the daughter of Caitlin's mother and Mr. Hotchkiss? If this theory is true, that would make Taylor the adopted sister of Caitlin. Hold on, this is going to make more sense in a second.
Okay.
Maybe Claire didn't want to destroy the family image, so she adopts her, and if she'd divorced him, they would have had so much to lose. And why they think this is because in the books, Caitlin had a younger brother named Taylor who committed suicide prior to the events of the novel due to Nolan's bullying. In the show, Taylor Hotchkiss, Nolan's sister, commits suicide at the start of the story. But I mean, she doesn't, So it could be a reference to the
But
the books.
how would that relate to the professor? Does it not?
I think it's just more evidence that this is then Taylor, like that it's like Taylor finds out these seedy things about her past. Or that's like just a theory about Taylor, to kind of give us more of what's going on there. I just thought it was really interesting.
Yeah. My motivation, I would think that the motivation for Taylor, in my mind, again, of like supporting the read of surveillance state and everything, is that she is very interested in controlling other people. And the list of people are people that would be like hard to control, right? Like they would most be outside of the system. I don't know how she works her magic to then identify these people. But because they've gotten to this point, it is a way to see how far she can go to push these people to then still behave like she wants them to.
Yes. So another theory, though, that someone commented on their Taylor Hotchkiss is the professor theory, is another person said they think it's not Taylor because in the last episode, as one of the reasons why I think it's probably not Taylor is, unless that's not a nod to the professor, but just a nod to a professor, Zach gives a coffee to someone, calls them the professor. I don't think he'd do that if it was Taylor.
Right. Yeah. It'd be like, Taylor?
And Zach seems to have seen this person. This person, though, thinks that then it could be Taylor's dad and that maybe he didn't actually die, and because we didn't see a body, so it's Pretty Little Liars.
That's really funny.
And then I think there's some other theories that maybe Taylor was actually the one who attacked her dad.
Okay.
And so, like, he survived, so now he's messing with her. You know what I mean? Like, it just gets...
interesting.
And these are obviously people who watched Pretty Little Liars and said...
I know.
Marlene.
It's all about parents.
Marlene's got a trope.
Right. Would you like to hear my theory?
Yeah.
My alternate theory? It falls apart in similar ways as the one stated there of
what if it's just Jeremy?
It could just be Jeremy.
That's my theory. I'm like, what if it's the simplest answer? What if Jeremy was just like, fuck this guy.
And
he wore a wig.
Going with and then there were none. Oh, he supposedly died. But he's actually alive.
Jeremy?
Yeah, so that's not my actual theory, but right. But when the professor says he was taking care of Jeremy, and I take that to assume that Jeremy died, that maybe Jeremy is actually still alive.
Yeah, we didn't see a body, so Jeremy's not dead.
Okay, but my theory was a little different. And this is actually my way of patching holes in Mason's character. I kind of was like thinking this through. I'm like, yeah, this would help me make a lot more sense here.
So you wrote some Mason fan fiction. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, in a sense.
Okay.
Just like, let's make this character make a little bit more sense. I think, again, going to the same thing of like trying to control people, right?
Okay.
And he had modeled off of Nolan. He saw how Nolan did this to people and wanted to be like that. Like, cause like he could get what he wants, doesn't have to do things, blah, blah, blah. He can control people, but also knew about Beacon Guard, Nolan and Taylor's thing, if he was in fact Nolan's security policy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he knows about some of these things and knows about Beacon Guard and sees that's the next way that he can figure out how he can test and control people.
Okay.
That'd be there. So when Nolan is gone, that is when he can start to try and use Nolan's tactics on the people as like a test. So it's all, again, because he's the professor, it's research that he, all of his actions that he's doing to try and like mess with our main characters is all just a test to see how he can control and manipulate people. So when he takes over Nolan's spot, he tries Nolan's tactics. When that doesn't work, that's when he becomes this new, like,
I like this
improved version.
I think this is probably accurate if this show is written in a way that's going to make sense.
With Claire, that was also manipulation to see like what could he do to be close to the most powerful person on campus. Mona getting in her good graces because he's also really smart, but we never see that at all because of him and Mona's chess games.
But what if he actually does love Mona?
Yeah,
we got to add like a little bit of something for the girlies.
Right. So he's like, damn it, I loved you. I didn't count on falling in love.
Just like Ezra. It's Ezra in reverse.
Yeah. hit him with the Uno reverse.
And at least everyone's a consenting adult.
Exactly. It's just, frowned upon at an institutional level.
Well, Well, and also, like, if you're manipulating someone and they're friends and then you fall in love with them, it probably wasn't a good way to start the relationship.
No. So, yeah.
But Mona does love a game.
Exactly. So then it would be like, oh, wow, look at that. I have to give you props.
What if it's Mona?
That'd be so good.
Mona's like, I just wanted to be included this time.
Yeah. So, but then you killed Nolan to like initiate the experiment.
Oh, okay.
Because
that's a little cold.
Because otherwise, Nolan's in his way, right, to actually being controlling these people.
What's Mason's major?
I don't know.
Is it psychology?
Maybe.
Oh. But also, then he's not a professor; he's a student.
Yeah. So again, this kind of like falls apart. Of he maybe calls himself the professor, and that thing is just a fake out at the end. Like
he's
I can make
the
up
love
excuses.
professor.
Yeah. That's right. That's what him and Clara would. That was their little pet name.
Oh,
It's so bad. It's so bad. But there's multiple ways that you can poke holes in this. Of like, okay, but then Nolan was supposed to be seeing Allie on the roof. It's like, oh yeah, he's just wearing an Allie wig. He's wearing her Lady G wig.
Oh my God, he brought it back out. She brought it just in case there was a costume party.
That's right. So yeah, but that's my alternative take. After hearing the Taylor version, I was like, oh, I could also see Mason.
I like it.
So,
who do you really think it is, though? Do you think it's Mason?
I'm gonna go with Mason. Yeah,
I'm gonna go.
But actually, probably Taylor would be up there too.
I like Taylor's dad theory because it's Pretty Little Liars, and like this man could be pulling strings from the outside. Like
you wait.
We didn't see his body.
Do we think Ray
is Taylor's dad?
Yeah.
No.
Oh.
Because they can see him on Beacon Guard.
Did they actually have footage of him? I guess so.
I mean, he's in the cafeteria.
Ray Hagedorn. Maybe he got his facial reconstructive surgery. Just like in Die Another Day, except he didn't change race.
Well, we can be grateful for that.
Yeah. Oh, that's a bad movie.
Any final thoughts on Pretty Little Liars, The Perfectionists?
Do you actually... no. And then I can tell you what happens in Die Another Day.
Okay.
That is it for the office hours. Goodbye.
Thank you. The worst part about going to office hours is that your TA gets on a fucking tangent. Next thing you know, you're listening to talk about something you're not even watching and you're not going to from the sounds of it.
007 movies where is it? I can't remember which way. I think it's this way. Where the villain at the beginning is an Asian guy and he gets, almost killed by James Bond, but then gets facial reconstructive surgery and he's a white guy. That's the twist.
That's something.
But he had diamonds embedded in his skin, I think. Something like that. Got a James Bond surfs on a giant wave movie. I do like the Madonna song for it, though. Anyways.
There you go.
So for a programming update for moving for... we're skipping next week, but we'll be back the week after with the first 2 episodes of Original Sin. And then, which I'm very excited about. And
I'm intrigued to see if we're going to be able to do 2 a week or if we're going to have to break that down just because I don't know how long the episodes are and like how much there is in each episode.
Yeah.
We'll see.
We'll see. But at least
we'll try for the first 2.
We'll go for the first episode, first 2. And then we'll go from there. 1 episode at a time, or it's 1 podcast episode at a time. That's all we can do.
All we can do. Yeah, I can't record 2 at a time.
No. Microphone 1, microphone 2.
I would just have a meltdown.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to do it.
We can barely do what we do. And we're so grateful you're here.
That's right.
Thank you for being with us.
And then we'll probably be missing a week in September too. We'll give everybody a heads up. Our schedule's going to be getting a little crazy. So we'll let you know on here and also on co-host at Dead Ends or Dead _ yeah, Dead Ends. And then you can follow that, and I post there now for show updates and when new shows go live or episodes go live and all that good stuff. But you can also send us emails at deadendspcast@gmail.com. You can also leave us comments on the YouTube at dead_ends. And then you can you can also find us on all your audio podcast platforms of choice at Dead Ends. Give us 5 stars, tell your friends, all that good stuff. We appreciate it.
We do. And we appreciate all the fun comments. We like talking to people.
We really do.
We get fun messages about it.
Mm-hmm. So
I'm excited.
It makes it great.
It does. It's fun. It's fun being here. Thank you for being here.
Yeah. Thank you for being a friend.
Uh-huh. I'm not going to keep singing it because, I'll just keep going. And tell us which golden girl you are.
Right. Are you a Dorothy? Are you a Blanche?
I'm a Sophia.
A lot of days sometimes I feel like a Dorothy, but I don't think that quite matches.
You're a Dorothy, I think.
Okay. Anyway. We're still here. And as we move on to a new show, we'll be finding out everything about that. But not Perfectionists.
Nope.
We've run dry.
We have an unsolved mystery on our hands. Tell us your fan theories.
Oh, yeah. Drop them in the comments.
What do you think happened?
Yeah.
Who's the professor? Did Marlene know who the professor was?
That's actually the real theories you should be talking about. Did they have an end game in mind? End game.
Okay, love you. Bye.
Love you.